And seeing the multitudes, he went up into the mountain. And when he had sat, his disciples came unto him. And he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye when men shall reveal you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceeding glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets which are before you. Ye are the salt of the earth. But if the salt has lost his savour, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out, and to be trodden under foot of men. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works, and glorify your Father which is in heaven.
I scared her. Well, I think God must be involved in this service this week, as that's my scripture for the week, is what we're going to be preaching on, and Joseph had that. And so I guess we're done. We can go home now. So today, as I wanted to talk about the concept of influence in teaching. This year for our church, we have a theme called Living Surrendered. Past tense, like it's been decided. We're living surrendered. And for me, a surrendered life, for me, I kind of changed the title. I'm sorry, Ken. It's my fault. I'll blame it on not be feeling well. But a surrendered life is the influence and teacher the world needs, is the kind of the title that I changed it to. Because it is. If we don't have a surrendered life for us as Christians, we really don't influence. Matter of fact, we don't influence for God, we probably influence against Him. So, as we do this. But anyway, influence. And I've had a lot of influences in my life. Okay, growing up in West Virginia, we have a specific food that we like. They're called hillbilly hot dogs. And I'm sure if I grew up in New York, it'd be another way. There's a Chicago dog, all that kind of stuff. But it's chili and coleslaw. And I love hillbilly hot dogs. Oh, my. Matter of fact, my mom found the recipe from my hometown on the internet and sent it to me. And we will have hillbilly hot dogs soon in my house. And so, but just, it was that. But how I got started? The influence of my grandfather. My grandfather says, hey, come and eat this. I'm like, it's coleslaw. Growing up as little. Then I tried it. And then I was like, that's pretty good stuff. And since that was all it was for lunch, it should have been good because that's all I was eating. But I'd ride my bike down Tin Can Alley. And I would go down to the hot dog place that was right down by our house. And for $4.85, I could get a dozen hot dogs with sauce and slaw. I would ride back and give my grandfather 2, my grandmother 1, and if you subtract that, left how much for me? Consequently, it's all still in here somewhere. But we do, my favorite, and I know I'm going to get yays and nays from this, but my favorite football team growing up was the Dallas Cowboys, and I lived 2 hours from Pittsburgh. Okay, the influence was not from any man. My mom thought Roger Staubach was cute. And so, because of that, she would have the Cowboys on, and I grew up watching the Cowboys, and that was the influence in my life. Growing up also in West Virginia, I had this thing that I had never eaten at an ethnic restaurant until I met my wife in college. So all of a sudden, when I got to college, she introduced me to Mexican food. And she introduced me to guacamole. Guacamole, I wouldn't eat it for the first year just because we used to shovel stuff like that. And from the chicken, I did it terrible. I know we got lunch afterwards. But now I make my own, influence. Clothes. Oh, my goodness. Growing up, if you would have seen me walk around, you said, he's an athlete. Because I thought, for me, getting dressed up was switching from gray to black sweatpants. That's the way it was. I could put a tie with that and get away with it, influence. We also we do a lot of influence. Like, we have the school, and I've got some incredible men at the church, and we need to be able to influence our young men in the art of relationship as well. And so my daughter is now dating a young man, and his name is Ramon over here. And we all went out, and it was me and my wife and Jacqueline and Ramon and Jesse and his wife. And we went out, and we were sitting there, and Jesse leaned over to his wife, and we were having tea, and he goes, "Will you pass the sugar?" And I didn't want to be outdone. So I looked at my wife and I said, "Hey, will you pass the honey?" And then I looked over at Ramon, and he was just white. Because what is he going to do? So he panicked. And so he looked at my daughter and said, "Will you pass the tea bag?" And so we need to influence our young men in relationships. That's not a true story. Okay. She really likes him. I want him to stay around for. I warned him, obviously, as a father. Anyway. Take that home. Anyway, but I want you to know that we have influences in our life, and we have positive and negative. We have intentional and unintentional influences in our life. But you know what? With all that influence, it doesn't affect us unless we accept it. Think about that. I don't care how powerful it is unless we accept it. Unless we allow it to affect us. The Beatitudes, I wanted to go there and read about salt and light today, because right now in these verses right here, we have attitudes of great influence on society as we look at this. And so the way I preach is we're going to go through it again, and we're going to chew on it little by little. So let's go back to chapter 5 of Matthew, starting verse 1. It says, "Now when Jesus saw the crowds, he went up on the mountain and sat down. His disciples came up to him, and he began to teach them, influence them." And Jesus was an amazing teacher, an amazing influencer. He knew exactly how to do it. He didn't stay down. He went up on the mountain and made them follow him. And I'm sure his immediate crowd was around him. His disciples were there. And I'm sure the other crowds began to gather around a little bit. And he began to teach them. And as he got everybody's attention, this is what he said. "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." Poor in spirit. Those who acknowledge their spiritual need. I don't know about you, but I carried a pride chip on my shoulder for a long time in life. And it wasn't until I was able to get rid of that chip, as I was able to get rid of all that and acknowledge the fact that I was in need spiritually. If we have more people that understand that we need more of God, that we need our spirit to be infused with His power, with His authority, when we acknowledge that we are spiritually poor apart from God. Verse 4, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Those who are sorrowful, because they know their own spiritual poverty, and grieve because evil is in the world." Today, because you're all here, I'm just going to call you church. Church, when we fail to recognize evil, when we fail to identify it, when we fail to grieve and mourn the fact that there is evil in the world, then we are losing our sensitivity. We are losing what it is to be the church and reach out. We need to be able to identify that. Because you know what? Our God is a God of absolutes. We talk a lot about truth here, that there's only one truth, and that's God's truth. Other truth, when we subject our truth to whoever's in office, it fluctuates, doesn't it? When we subject our truth to men, to women, to people around, it sometimes fluctuates. But whenever we look at God, we see the real truth. Verse 5, blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Gentle, humble, submissive to God. Man, I wish in my life, in my walk with Him, that I was more gentle. I wish that I was more submissive. But I don't know about you, but I'm one of those guys. I get going sometimes, and God has to tie my shoelaces together for me to fall on my face where He goes, where are you going? And I'm like, God, I'm working for you. And He goes, how do you know? You haven't spent any time with me in prayer lately. I want to be real before you. There are times, as human beings, don't we get like that? Especially as Christians, we want to go, 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 go. And God's like, come to me. And then you can go. Verse 6, I love this one. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. I don't know about you, but there was a time in my life growing up where we were hungry. When you get that feeling where your stomach's eating a hole through itself. And then you work your way past that to where you're just numb. Man, I wish that Christians would, as the church, were more like that for God. That we hungered and thirsted after Him so much that it was like walking through the desert and getting that glass of water and how it feels. I'll tell you, we almost had that here in Texas. I know, talk about West Virginia. Anybody ever mow their yard in July? It's 110 outside in the shade, and you get done mowing, you walk in, and you crave it. You feel it. You can just sense it going all the way down, and you get that drink that goes down. Man, if we could be like that for Jesus and say, God, I've been mowing the yards spiritually. I need that refreshment. I need that drink. Lord, I need your Holy Spirit to pour over me. This is all the introduction. We'll get to the real stuff here in a bit. Verse 7, blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Verse 8, blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. A single-mindedness towards God, holy, marked by integrity, a heart purity, the inward genuineness of purity, visible in loving deeds. If we want to be a church of influence, we need to be able to be like this. We need to have a pure heart. We need to strive every day to get closer and closer and closer to Jesus, so that we can come to the point that when things happen, we are bent upon pleasing Him instead of bent upon pleasing self. When we reach that point, we will be the influence that Jesus wants us to be. Verse 9, blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God. These are not just peaceful people, but these are people who actually take part in bringing peace to a situation, bringing peace to a relationship. This is an active situation. This, when we think of peaceful, I think of my grandfather's his swing he built for my grandmother, and the breeze blowing through the carport. Oh, it's just a peaceful day. And that could be that, but this is talking about people who are actively going out and striving to bring peace between people. And we know that through Scripture that the only way that we can have unity is through the bond of peace. And we want unity. As the church, as our different ministries, as the school, my Sunday school, my women's outreach, my men's outreach, the youth, all these different entities, as we come together, and we will not have unity unless we have people who are actively doing things to bring peace. Because I tell you what, we're going to run into each other. Amen? That's life. If you don't, I mean, when we merge and we come together, it doesn't make a difference if it's the school and the church or Sunday school and the youth or whatever's happening. We are going to run into each other. And we need to be able to work out peacefully the situation. And I had somebody say, well, you know what? When you bring this, when you bring the school in, I mean, aren't there going to be times that, it's supposed to be perfect if God is in this? I went, no. Ask any married couple. Right? I love my wife. 26 years we've been married. Almost 28 years we've been together. And I've never argued with her once. Out loud. There's a reason I've been married 26 years. But right, when you get together, there are times. And you know what? We argue, where are we going to eat today? I don't know, wherever you want to go. No, wherever you want to go. No, I said wherever you want to go. And pretty soon, no one's hungry anymore because we're just, right? And then I got my middle daughter, Miranda, who's not here, goes, hey, I'll eat anywhere. I'm hungry. Hey, Mom and Dad, stop. I'm hungry. I'll eat anything. She's being a peacemaker. Basically tells us to shut up and just pull into the place so she can order. Now that they have their own credit cards, they don't even care if I pay. Just, Dad, get me to where I need to eat. Verse 10, blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Church, I'm going to tell you this. Because we stand up for Jesus, people are going to take swats at us. And we need not let that fear stop us. We need to get rid of the fear of what's going to happen to us from the world and stand up for Jesus. Because unless we do that, we're going to get run over. Amen? Here we go. Verse 11. Blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you. I want to tell you this. If Jesus went through what he went through, we have no right to expect anything less. We need to understand that. Betrayal. Hatred. Spit upon. Talked about. Left alone. You see, but humankind may do this to us, but we have a God that will never leave us, that will never forsake us, that is with us, before us, with us, in us, and behind us, taking care of us. And you know what? We have a God that's big enough to take care of everything. Those are some influencing attitudes. Now we get to the verse down here, verse 13. You are the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. You understand the salt that Israel had at this time came from the Dead Sea. It was full of impurities. So unless they refined it and got the real salt out, it was full of impurities and lost its flavor. So it really wasn't good for much unless they refined it and got the pure salt out. I'll tell you what, salt's awesome. I know too much is high blood pressure, all that kind of stuff, but salt's awesome. Salt makes celery a relevant food. Amen? I mean, celery's chewing on a grass blade. Might as well give it to the rabbit. But man, I put some salt on that puppy, and boom, it's gone. I love it. I mean, a hard-boiled egg, same way. You eat a hard-boiled egg, it's like chewing through paste. Man, I can put salt on that thing, it's no problem. We as the church need to be able to influence, like salt influences food. Right? We need to be able to add flavor to the world. We need to be able to influence. We need to influence people. You know what? Christians have the most fun when we are in it. We have a blast, and we don't have any regrets afterwards. I want to say that again. We as Christians have some of the most fun we can have, laughing and having fun. And if we do it the way Jesus intends, there's no regrets afterwards. We need to be that kind of influence. Verse 14, you are the light of the world, a town built on a hill. First of all, before I get to these next few verses, I call these my duh verses. Okay? This is just duh when you read it. When it says here, you are the light of the world, it says a town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Duh. Right? Here we go. Verse 15. I love this verse. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. That's redundant. You put the bowl on it to put it out. So why would we light it just to put it out again? That's like the clown, the idiot, right? Light it, put it out. Light it, put it, It just, you would think, that's so stupid. Duh. If we look at this. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on a stand. And it gives light to everyone in the household. We are to be an influence, not just for us. Our influence goes out for everybody around us. And you know what? When we are that kind of influence, there are people that are unintentionally influenced. I guarantee you, if you proclaim to be a Christian and people know it, there are people looking at your life that you don't even know are looking at it. And when you go through something horrific or wrong, and you go through it and you proclaim Jesus and you come through it in victory, they are going to look at that and go, I don't know, but I want what they have. There's a strength, there's a power, there's an assurance, there's a confidence that they have that I don't. Verse 16. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. For us, when we are the proper influence for Christ, it doesn't point back to us. We may get some congratulations, but it points back to the Father. Because the reason we influence is to draw them to Jesus. Amen? The reason we influence is to draw them to Jesus. Okay. Now we're going to get to this last part. Christian education. We'll talk about that. Because right now, our teachers and our staff, my Sunday school teachers, everybody who's involved in education in some way. But today being CCA, I wanted to put it up there. And I wanted to recognize them in a sense because they are on the front lines. They are on the front lines of teaching to influence the next generation. So if you're not praying for the teachers, pray for them. Because I'm telling you that you're letting them down if you're not praying for them. And I've got people in Christian school and in public schools that they are on my mind all the time because you never know what's going on in that home that comes into the school and they've got to deal with. I guarantee you, just because it's a Christian school, problems are not absent. Ask anybody that's been there for longer than 10 minutes. Public school the same way. Whatever happens in the home makes its way to school. In our people, if we're a Christian educator in public or private, doesn't make any difference. If we are in that business of influencing the next generation, we need to be lifting them up in prayer. Because I tell you what, teaching that next generation, because they're going to ask the same questions we did. Who am I? What is my purpose here in this world? Remember what I talked about? There's only one truth, and that's God's truth. Because apart from that, when they go to the secular society, according to whatever person they talk to, they will get a different answer of according to who they are. But if we are Christians and we are influencing and we are teaching that next generation and we are just pouring out God into them. And I don't care if it's math or English or history or things I can't spell like calculus, all that kind of stuff. And no matter what it is if we are pouring into them truth with a godly and pure heart, we are influencing that next generation for Jesus. And we are giving them the foundation which they can build their life on. which they will be successful in life, which will they be more than conquerors, but overcomers in life. And then in turn, with that good foundation that we can give to them, then they in turn, as they grow, will be influencers themselves. They will be influencers of their peers. And then one day they will be influencers of the next generation. When I got to college, a Bible college, there's a man named Brad Penn who will forever get a gold star for me. This man taught me what it was to be a man, a Christian man. That it's okay to be a Christian man and stand up for what you believe. He taught me what it was to be a father growing up in a single-parent home. And not that he sat and instructed me, because I watched his life. You know what? When I watched his life, it matched up with this. And because it matched up with this, I was influenced and taught to now, for me being a father, now I am wanting to influence and teach. So today, as we get ready, I'm going to have all the faculty and staff of CCA come up and line our altars, if you would come now. When I talked about praying for them, that's what we're going to do. And so if they will come, I'm sorry we don't have Pat on the floor. If you got bad knees, if you can't, you can sit in the front pew, that's fine. But we as the Church of the Nazarene had voted to bring this school in to be a part of us. And because of that, when we bring them in, you know what? Now we are responsible for uplifting them. We are responsible for their spiritual situation. Not solely responsible, but we carry that responsibility. So now what I'm going to ask is anybody else that would like to come and lay hands on anybody up here to please come forward as we're getting ready to pray.
This week at CNAS.
Don't forget about Sunday school at 9:30 every Sunday. Be there or be square.
This year, the teens will be supporting World Vision and doing the 30-hour famine. We'll be collecting donations to help feed the hungry.
We're looking for volunteers to help out with the children. See Pastor Sean for details. We're getting an Easter choir together. Starting February 5th on Sundays at 4:30, we'll be having practice. Come join us. Tonight at 5 o'clock, there'll be children's quizzing. If you need any more information, contact Karen Hall. This Saturday at 6 o'clock in the fellowship hall, there's going to be an adult Sunday school party. Bring a dish, bring a friend, let's have some fun.
Every Tuesday at 10 a.m. is Ladies' Bible Study. We'll be studying over a book by Billy Graham called Angels, God's Secret Agents.
Today, youth parents, we're going to have a meeting right after service in the fellowship hall. We're going to take about 15 minutes to discuss some things. This is Joel Wilson reporting for CNAS News. Have a good day.
Ooh. Ah.